Now, having lost Justice Ginsburg less than 7 weeks before election this year, after Americans have already begun to cast their vote, it's estimated that up to 40% of Americans will have voted by October 1st, but at least 30%, tens of millions. And you can't unring the bell. Having made this their standard when it served their interests, they cannot, just 4 years later, change course when it doesn't serve their ends. Look, I'm not being naive. I'm not speaking to President Trump, who will do whatever he wants. I'm not speaking to Mitch McConnell, who will do what he wants, and he does. I'm speaking to those Republicans out there, Senate Republicans, who know deep down what is right for the country and consistent with the Constitution, as I stand here in the Constitution Center, not just what's best for their party. I'm speaking for millions of Americans out there who already have voted and continue to vote, and will have many more have voted by the time this process is finished. Millions of Americans who are voting because they know their health care hangs in the balance. In the middle of the worst global health crisis in living memory, Donald Trump is before the Supreme Court trying to strip health care coverage away from tens of millions of families, and to strip away the peace of mind of more than 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions. If he succeeds, insurers could once again discriminate or drop coverage completely for people living with pre-existing conditions like asthma, diabetes, cancer.
And that is how you turn a Republican power grab into a boon for Democrats. This is Joe Biden turning the Supreme Court battle into a referendum on healthcare, and he's exactly right to do that, because this is a referendum on healthcare. The reason that Trump is rushing to get a new Supreme Court nominee onto the bench is that Supreme Court oral arguments on the Affordable Care Act begin on November 10th, just 1 week after the election. And Trump knows that if he can get another justice onto the court and make it a 6-3 conservative majority, that there's no way the ACA will survive. And he has predicated his presidency on destroying the legacy of his predecessor, even if that means stripping 20 million Americans of their health care during a pandemic. And yet he's so blinded by his desperation to take it to Obama that he doesn't realize that the last time Republicans turned an election into a referendum on health care, they got destroyed. In the 2018 midterms, Democrats ran on exactly that issue and took 41 seats in the House with the biggest margin of victory in American history. So now, for Trump to try and re-debut healthcare as the issue of this campaign again, and during a pandemic no less, is almost as if he's trying to lose. So if that's what Trump wants, then sure, let's make this a referendum on healthcare. If Donald Trump has his way, he'll dismantle the ACA, which is the only law we have protecting coverage for those with pre-existing conditions. The only law we have that ensures coverage for 20 million Americans who were uninsured before. And he'll promise you that he'll replace it with something cheaper and better, although he's had 4 years to do exactly that and never actually managed to come up with a single plan to do it. Or you have Joe Biden's plan, which builds on the ACA instead of destroying it. His plan will create a new public option, which you can take advantage of regardless of whether you're offered insurance through your job or if you have no coverage at all. It lowers costs. Just like with Medicare, the public option will reduce costs by negotiating lower prices through hospitals and healthcare providers. It covers primary care visits with no copays. It caps a family's spending on the health insurance marketplace at 8.5% of their income. His plan will enroll all low-income Americans in Medicaid, even those in Republican states that refuse to expand access to it. It'll lower prescription drug costs and limit price increases for all generic drugs to inflation. And finally, it'll reinvest in rural healthcare by doubling funding to community health centers and working with training programs to increase the number of individuals in rural areas who provide care. And look, this may not be far enough for you, and that's a perfectly valid argument. But the point is that you can't look at this plan by Biden and the one from Trump, which amounts to nothing more than sticking it to Obama, and tell me that they are even in the same universe. So at a time when the health and safety of the American people has never been more precarious, as we lose nearly 1,000 people a day to this virus, the fact that Trump's priority is stripping what coverage we do have away is a testament to the fact that his priority is not whether we live or die, it's whether he can get revenge on Barack Obama. So when you vote for the next president, that's something you should keep top of mind as you're casting your ballot. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.